And when my joy was born, I held it in my arms and stood on the housetop, shouting, "Come ye, my neighbors, come and see, for joy this day is born unto me." Hi, this is Nidesh Vasu, and I read writings and poetry from the great saints and sages from across time to help us introspect where we are at in our lives at the moment, and to help us evolve and become better students, better children, better parents, better friends, better lovers, and better humans.
Welcome to a Stereo Tales presentation. You're listening to Sages and the Madman with Nidesh Vasu.
Thank you for listening into my podcast. This week, we continue reading from Kahlil Gibran's work. In each episode, we also try to gather insights into the experiences and struggles of Gibran's life that shaped his personality and inspired his work. After Gibran's time in Paris, he found Boston uninhabitable. Mary Haskell had arranged for him to visit New York in 1911, where he moved later that year using $5,000 that Haskell gave him. He immediately acquired a circle of admirers that included the Swiss psychiatrist and psychologist Carl Gustav Jung and several Arab and Middle Eastern celebrities, as New York was the center of the Arabic literary scene in America. Gibran met many literary and artistic figures who lived in or passed through the city, including the very famous William Butler Yeats. He grew more politically active, supporting the idea of revolution to gain Syrian independence from the Ottoman Empire. Though Gibran initially had some success as an artist in New York, artistic currents were moving rapidly in other directions. The reviews of an exhibition of his own work in December 1914 were mixed. He devoted most of his time to painting for the next 18 years, but did not change his style much and became a lone figure on the New York art scene. But as Gibran's literary career took off, Al-Funun, an Arabic newspaper founded in New York in 1913, provided a new vehicle for his political writings. In 1914, the editor of Al-Funun published a collective of 56 of Gibran's early newspaper columns. This was published as an English translation titled A Tear and a Smile in 1950. Most of these columns had common themes of love, spirituality, beauty, nature, and alienation and homecoming. He befriended Mikhail Naimi in New York, another writer, poet, and philosopher, who became his close friend for life and later wrote a book on Gibran too. According to Naimi, Gibran's true beliefs revolved around the all-including self, from which, like a mother, all human souls proceed. On this belief, the morality of man is built, where one is to be as compassionate to other souls as the mother. Knowledge comes as a flow of the all-self into the soul. If the flow increases, the human soul feels itself to be infinite, in unity with the all-self and embracing the whole existence. This belief system is deeply influenced by Hinduism, Buddhism, and Christianity. The years spent in New York were full of struggle and challenges for Gibran, with long gaps where he could not write or publish anything. We'll dwell more on the rest of his life in our next episode. In the previous episode, we spoke about how Gibran had personified his relationship with sorrow. In case you've missed the episode where my sorrow was born, please listen to it to enhance the experience of this one. The next poem, or rather the addendum poem in the book The Madman, is And When My Joy Was Born. And when my joy was born, I held it in my arms and stood on the housetop, shouting, "Come ye, my neighbors, come and see, for joy this day is born unto me. Come and behold this gladsome thing that laugheth in the sun." But none of my neighbors came to look upon my joy, and great was my astonishment. And every day for 7 moons I proclaimed my joy from the housetop, and yet no one heeded me. And my joy and I were alone. unsought, and unvisited. Then my joy grew pale and weary, because no other heart but mine held its loveliness, and no other lips kissed its lips. Then my joy died of isolation. And now I only remember my dead joy in remembering my dead sorrow. But memory is an autumn leaf that murmurs a while in the wind and then is heard no more. This is such a mesmerizing piece of writing. Similar to sorrow, he has personified joy. When his joy is born or he has become happy about something, he wants to show it off to everyone. Even when he climbs on the rooftop and shouts, announcing his joy, he doesn't receive a single favorable reaction. Unlike his sorrow, no one cares for his joy. He's astonished. He had imagined that his neighbors would be interested in knowing about his joy, just as they were curious about his sorrow. People aren't as delighted about other people's joys as much as they relish in their sorrows. With no one to share in his newfound joy, it's quite likely that the madman's joy only gave him happiness. Unvisited and unsought, joy started weakening and deteriorating because the madman had no one to share and celebrate his joy with. Joy died. The more he looked outside for validation and approval, the more dissatisfied he became. He realizes that even the worst of his sorrows gave him pleasure, while his joy actually brought him disappointment and pain. Anything outside of us has limited ability to give us satisfaction or contentment. The journey to our own bliss, our own everlasting joy, begins when we navigate inwards. The madman only remembers his dead joy when he remembers his dead sorrow. And soon enough, this memory too falls away like an autumn leaf. Gibran talks so beautifully about duality. The duality of life, where one experiences joy or sorrow, two extreme states which move you to diametrically different experiences, joy and sorrow, pain and pleasure. The madman shows how, in his life, a moment or experience with joy has played out. How even what we think is joy barely gives us lasting pleasure, even suffering. Joy, like sorrow, is also temporary and fleeting. Like the madman has moved on from sorrow, he has moved beyond joy, to a state beyond duality, to an exalted state where neither joy nor sorrow exists to ravage the madman into suffering. He is not merely in the state of equanimity, where he is not moved by sorrow or joy. He is in a state of stillness, beyond the state of excitement that joy or sorrow produce. In that state, he experiences true bliss, a space where he experiences self-realization. Gibran has so beautifully shown how he's romanced both sorrow and joy and has evolved beyond the drama of life that plays out for him. Are you aware of the pain and pleasure you experience when you go through your own sorrow or joy? Are you aware of the contrasting nature of both these experiences and of their temporariness? How are you working to evolve beyond these experiences? Are you able to make the journey within to enrich yourself? I'd love to hear your take on this poem and how you've connected with the joys and sorrows in your life. Thank you for listening into this week's episode. Please take some time out to actively be kind to yourself, to love yourself, to forgive yourself, and to be grateful to yourself for having come so far. Please send out love to the whole world so that we may all transform in love during this time of great transition.
If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, please hit subscribe and make sure you share the link with others who'd enjoy the experience. We'd love to hear from you. You can reach us at themadman@stereotales.com with your thoughts, suggestions, questions, ideas, and more. Please also write in if you'd like to partner with us or if you'd like to feature us on your blog or newsletter. Don't forget to rate our podcast. Thank you for listening and for all your support. You've been listening to a Stereo Tales presentation.